I've just muted all, so you're welcome. I really want participation here, everybody, but this keeps us moving. And then please feel free to unmute and ask questions and participate. That's kind of the goal. Basically, Tim spent a lot of time teaching AI how ScribeWare works so that you could kind of talk to it and have it build things for you in ScribeWare. So the MCP, the reason we started with this is we're already seeing companies that were extremely AI forward bowing out. You know, they were going to be the thing, and you were going to walk into a building and wave your phone around, and AI was going to write a report for you. And uh, I I have I mean I have a lot of problems with that. One is that if they were successful at it, there's really a good chance that our careers are in jeopardy. That a homeowner could basically app and wave a phone around and do a home inspection. And B, I'm somewhat skeptical that that can be done in a really cost-effective way, at least as the tool stands at the moment. So one thing that everybody should understand, from my perspective and my limited knowledge of AI, when we're talking about AI, we're sort of talking about how it stands at the moment. It's a bit like doing a home inspection. It's a snapshot in time of the condition of AI at the moment that we're dealing with it, and things can change in this world. But so we started with an MCP because it was actually, frankly, just a convenient way for us to create a lot of power in ScribeWare for people who are interested in harnessing that power. It was never intended to be like the final solution for ScribeWare and AI interfaces. And in fact, it's actually much more like the cheapest, easiest way for us to have a really good experiment with what is AI going to help us with report writing, what's it really good at, and what are the things it's not so good at that we should avoid. Because Steve, who I don't think's on this call today, but when he and I were first having strategic sessions about AI, he was very concerned that we are the first people, whoever is the first to the table with AI will spend a lot of time building in a specific workflow and has a risk of finding out that all that stuff they spent time on doesn't work. And we really didn't want to be those people, right? And so we kind of strategically were like, well, we're not going to be, first guy through the door is the one that gets shot, right? So, we'll wait a little bit and see what's happening. And then this MCP seemed like a brilliant way to kind of like play with AI and see what works and see what doesn't. And so our hope is over the next 6 months to a year. I don't know how long these things will be unfolding, that we will continue to work with everybody who is using this MCP, and you're going to give us good feedback of what's working for you and what could we do to optimize it and what parts of it will be built into ScribeWare more. Currently, the MCP is a bit like it's an integration, really. It's not, we haven't like built it into ScribeWare. So I'll share a screen in a minute. I'll kind of show you what I do with Claude. Um, at the moment, if you want to use this MCP, you really need a Claude subscription. So I'm paying $20 a month for a Pro Claude subscription. Our intent was that this would be open to any LLM you wanted to use. Tim, I might need you to chime in here, but my understanding is that not all of them have really set up the ability to have their LLMs talk to software in this way. Is that accurate, Tim?
Yeah, so you have to use something that's desktop based. And so Claude Desktop works well. The reason for that is that the MCP, like all the tools and everything, they live in the ScribeWare application. So you have to have something that can talk with the application. So you can't use something that's a online, like ChatGPT, it just comes through a website. You have to use something you can install on your desktop and let it talk to things on your computer. Now there's all kinds of different programs that you can get that you can attach, like, put in a API key for ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude or like anything. And it can work with that. Like you could build your own AI on your computer if you know how to do that, and host your own thing. And as long as it can communicate with something that's on the computer, through an open port, then you can connect it. As far as mainstream stuff goes, Claude is the only one that really does that well. There's a few other workarounds. I haven't played with them that much. And then for the most part. Anything else is going to be like an API key based thing where you pay per token. So Cloud is the only one that you have a subscription um, that you can use. Any other solution, most any other solution is going to be some kind of pay per token type situation.
Cool.
I got
Thanks.
a question for you. Can I ask real quick, Dylan?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So Tim, I mean, most of the time when you're using Claude, you need like a Mac Mini. I'm not going to be able to get a Mac Mini, and you just said that a web-based version is not going to work. So what do we do?
It still processes it on the server, on the Claude server. So you're not processing it all on your computer. You can use like Claude Cowork. It's all still on the server. You're just running it through your computer. So
Okay,
you don't
yeah,
have to have a supercomputer to do this.
Correct.
you're right.
Yeah.
At least I'll try to get a Mac Mini that nobody could even buy because they're on backlog. Right,
Right.
exactly. Cool. All right.
Yeah. No. Cool. So that's that's sort of our starting place is that if you want MCP, you get Claude and you kind of connect it to ScribeWare. And again, what we're going to start doing is building some of these things into ScribeWare. We're literally at the phase where, when you're working with an LLM, you're teaching it, right? And like sometimes it makes mistakes and you're like, well, no, that's actually not what I was thinking. And later on in just a little minute, once we get talking big picture stuff, I'm gonna build a template with everybody or have Claude build a template. And I'm hoping that like gives us a few learning moments where you can kind of like see what it does. So, but I also wanted to talk before we dive into that about some big picture. So I would, in your head, distinguish AI for template management and curation, right? Because that's one thing is having it like build stuff for you in ScribeWare and having it build gunny sacks and change chapters and build contractor tags and build inspector only notes and help you leverage these tools we build. So that's kind of one thing that AI can do. The other thing that AI can do that's more complicated that we will be working towards probably building into ScribeWare more over time is workflows, right? And those are the things that people are most interested in probably because those are like the sort of save you time stuff. And um, again, this is where like I think there's a lot of I don't know how if you guys are seeing this, but I'm already seeing online pushback of people reading these inspection reports that are just fully AI generated and don't really look like a person wrote them. And I personally don't feel like that's all that great for our industry, right? And so, and so while I do think, so here's one of my theories on workflows that I wanted to push out there, but what percentage of the comments that you use in your average home inspection are things that are not in your library? I mean, I'm assuming you're all scribers, so you have like a library of stuff, right?
I'd say 10%
Yeah,
not favorites. 10%
thank
not
you.
favorites.
Yeah, I mean, it does change. Sometimes you get a weird house and you have like 40% weird stuff, but your average job is like, I mean, I have jobs I don't freehand any comments really. I mean, everything is based in my library and I'm making tweaks to it, right? And sometimes I freehand 10% of the comments or something. So the idea of using AI to author comments for you is, so this is an interesting thing to think about. Having it author live comments as you work is a little bit riskier, right? Because it could be wrong, and like, are you vetting it? Are you thinking about it? To me, it feels a little different having it help you author things that are in your library that you're really vetting and thinking about, and then they're available for recycling. And one of the things about ScribeWare, we've built some of the most powerful tools in the industry for building a library of phrases and comments that are available to you, and then using it and then using it either as gunny sacks or parent comments or individual comments with illustrations attached. You can kind of do all of it. And so I'm as we work towards workflows, the thing to start understanding is uh, the more we design AI tools to where we take the hands off the wheel, where we're not driving, where we say, "Hey AI, here's a photo, write a comment for me." It gets a lot more expensive. You're going to burn through a lot of like tokens, as Tim talked about, or a lot of your subscription. It is what I have learned already is that it's super unlikely AI is better at looking at a photograph and understanding what's wrong than a home inspector. We're actually really,
100%.
yeah, like we're good at that, and like why would you offload that to a computer? And that we do that almost like instantaneously. Like we don't even have to think about it. I look at a picture of a water heater and I can like scan it quickly and find 5 defects with it, right? Like that's a big lift for AI. So while those sorts of things are cool parlor tricks, I don't think they're like necessarily the best bang for your buck, and those who think they are might not really understand how AI is going to be most efficient at helping us, right? So again, now we go back to this idea of efficiency that like, okay, certain workflows with AI could end up being really expensive, maybe cost prohibitive, like do you guys want to pay $40 an inspection to have AI scan photos and write the report for you? It's like, well, no, like we don't. And I'm not saying it would cost that much, but I'm just saying like these are the kind of problems we get to think about and try to work out as we play with this MCP and this Claude integration. So what you will find is like honestly today I'm a huge fan of this MCP integration. I use it almost daily and I absolutely love it. It's the most powerful thing we've done in ScribeWare. I mean, it's just amazing. But if you said, Dylan, I want it, would you use it to freehand a comment for some weird thing? I'd probably use Chat GTP and just paste it into ScribeWare to like freehand a comment. I mean, it's okay, but to me, that's not like its wheelhouse. Its wheelhouse is more processing bigger amounts of data. But at least that's what I've found. We're going to open this up to other people because I don't know how much Tim's even been able to use it. Poor guy's been so busy building stuff for us, but I know Luke and some other people on here have been using it, so I want feedback from everybody. But that's kind of what I've found so far with the MCP. So let me share a screen here. Does that everybody get it? Is this helpful? You guys get a big picture sense of kind of like, what we're trying to do with this, what we're trying to accomplish, and then our real goal is again that we start building some of this stuff into ScribeWare, but we kind of will have a good idea of what's going to work and what isn't, so that we're efficient with our time on this. So, anybody have questions before I share? I'll start diving into the next bit where we'll write a template together. Right
That's
Hey
on.
Dylan,
the reason
it's
I'm
Brett.
here.
I don't have video on.
Cool.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Um,
Yep.
it's not really a question, but you really don't think that AI, I think it already can look at a water heater and pick out deficiencies as well or better than us.
Yeah, I mean, go for it. Like I mean, it's all there's all these different LLMs and like these are going to be business model decisions, and if you want to take your hands off the wheel and like just sort of resign yourself to a computer, you can do it. I don't think I think I'm better than it is with that kind of thing, and personally, and but again, that could change, um,
Yeah,
uh, but
I just found it
and,
interesting that you said that because I mean, yeah, I've only run a few photos and I'm always surprised. I'm like, wow, it picked this out, like it did that. I don't use it much, but it's just in playing with it a little bit. I'm like, it's
No,
surprising.
I suppose I hear you, and I think it's easy to be kind of shocked by AI because it can do some things really well. I would say, dumping a photo in and having it look at what it is and tell you what's wrong as sort of a parlor trick is significantly different than doing 2 inspections a day where you pump 600 pictures into it and write a
Right,
report. That's the scale of that is not even remotely the same, and then the scale it creates a lot of workflow problems for you of like, okay, well, what are you going to check now? If you're going to put 300 pictures through this thing and have it just write the report for you, you're going to proofread it all. Like you're so out of your workflow that you would have been in if you just followed your template that you'll find yourself kind of somewhat spinning and like just in nowhere land. Like
right,
and I don't
right.
know about you guys, but like my workflow, I'll tell you about some things I've been experimenting with in a bit. And I broke my normal workflow to do an AI experiment, and I hated it because I was like, I have built into my templates so many safeguards to protect myself that slow me down. But I also leave a job when I've like done my thing on my template. I leave a job and I'm like, I've done it. Like I've got everything, And I usually get home and I'm like, damn it, I missed one thing or whatever, like that I wanted to get a picture of or something. But my template is like gold for me. And, if we're going to take our hands off the wheel and just wander around and snap pictures and let AI write these things, it's extremely risky for somebody who's like risk averse to like wanting to do a super good job every time. Like to me, it just seems scary and dangerous. Uh,
It,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think to phrase it as that, it takes it to the extreme end, and that ultimately each of us are going to have to choose to what, which is, I think, what you're talking about overall, like to what degree we're going to use it and how we're going to implement it. And similar to building templates, like, well, okay, well, AI, I really like it for this, I use it for that, and somebody else will do a different thing and have different workflows. But to the degree that you're speaking of, that sounds like,
Yeah, and I
yeah,
think you
some
nailed it. I
sci-fi
think
movie.
that the degree to which every company on here utilizes AI and MCP and all the AI tools that we're going to be building moving forward is going to be a business decision, and my expectation is that not everybody will like all of them. It's kind of how everything seems to work. So like
Yeah,
I mean
right,
we're
right.
all very particular, so and I do think there will be an opportunity for those we have people experimenting with that I actually think could be very effective at workflows where you really don't need to navigate any longer on a mobile app, right? That you basically could have a workflow where you just take pictures and speak what you are finding, and then let AI
Yes.
construct the report based on that. But that's more workflow stuff. So I want to get in that minute. Jason, did you have a question, buddy?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
So yeah, similar to what you just said, it's funny. I was about to say that, and you said it about speaking. So my wife had me get this little thing. You guys in the group may have heard of it. It's called Plod. It's a little microphone you wear, and you just talk, and then you put it in, and it has AI that will dictate the entire conversation. So right now I'm doing using it for training when we're doing water heaters, furnaces, and everything. So I kind of go through how to inspect the water heater, and it puts an entire training manual together for me.
Yep.
But I had this epiphany today doing a couple pre-drywalls as I was building that. And I'm like, what if I had Claude take that, give that information, I give it to Claude where it has all those problems, and then Claude takes it and puts it in and writes all the observations or picks it and finds the observations that relate to the defects that I called out. Then all I have to do, like Tim does from the gallery, I dump my photos in. And maybe I've already captioned it. I mean, heck, maybe I can write captions on the photos that I've taken and kind of
Those
mesh
are
them
all,
that way.
yeah, those are all pretty realistic workflows, man. I mean, I don't think we're super far away from like
I agree.
basically dictating and taking pictures. The big difference in ScribeWare is if you manage and curate a library of content that you believe in that sounds like you, I believe we can teach AI to be corralled, meaning if you just dump those notes into like, I mean, you could do it right now where you take those notes, dump it in a tool and, maybe you have to attach pictures or something, but AI would be writing that report. And I bet you if you read that report within like no time at all, you're gonna be like, this sounds like AI wrote this report, and then you might find things where it's drifting or it's wrong or like so I'm much more keen personally on trying to have it fishing from these corralled, from our library, right? I mean, it's our intellectual property. That's what we built. That's why like Wayne sounds different than Tim sounds different than TJ, right? I mean, like that's what you can control in ScribeWare and then teach AI to fish from that. I think is
That's
going to be,
exactly where I was going with that. Like, kind of give it the keywords, and then you
yes.
teach Scribeware to look at the keywords you called out on the defect, take a
Yep.
photo of it. Again, Claude writes that, you interject it into Claude, and then it takes it and dumps it right into,
Yep.
Scribeware based on those keywords instead
So
of having to write them out or search for them. So,
that's right. So
yep.
we've got some people playing with that. If you guys, anybody out there wants to keep playing with that, like that's the MCP will let you start to do that. Like you could dump in a transcript from, I've been experimenting with this Pocket AI tool, but you can take a transcript from that, dump it into Claude and say, write my, use all my comments in my template and fill out all the styles and materials and write a report based on this transcript. And we're, it's still in its very early stages, so we've got some kinks to work out. But that type of thing is probably very realistic in months. But there again, we're talking workflow. So do you guys mind if we, before we get too deep into workflow, we'll jump back and just talk, I'll show you like building stuff with Claude. Does that sound good? Cool. We've got Claude here. The one, right now it's not like built into ScribeWare, so it's kind of two different things here. So we'll kind of shrink up Claude. I've got it on my screen. Can you guys all see my screen okay? Yep. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and create from template, and I'm going to start a blank report. And so this is good. Now up here we'll do age in place. And then we bring up Claude again. So I'm going to ask it, I have a blank template up under client name. I have age in place. Can you build for me the needed chapters and sections for an aging in place safety home check report? And you can see I'm such a terrible typer. I've got all these typos, but it doesn't. One of my favorite things is it doesn't seem to care. Uh, it, it likes my level of typing. So now it's asking for permissions. And Tim, do you want to explain these a bit, like why it asks for these?
Uh, yeah, I mean that's basically its default is anytime it's interacting with something else, it's going to ask for permission for each thing. You can either like get report structure is a pretty common tool. It's reading the report and pulling in all the information that's already there. Um, you can, do you want to answer that one first? Yeah, okay.
Yep, I got it.
Um, so down at the bottom under write a message where you have manual, you can change it to auto and it won't ask you for permission. You can also, as you do tool calls, you can say, I don't like, you can get reports without asking me to. So you can approve. Um,
Oh, look, you can skip all approvals if you want.
yeah. So you can kind of set it up for like, I usually like to approve it because I like to see what it's doing so that I can think about, is this doing the right thing? But that's because I'm coming at it a little bit different. More troubleshooting when I'm doing it. But yeah, usually you just, you can kind of tell it which tools you're happy with it just doing, and then others you might want it to um, let you know when it's about to do it, when it's making changes.
So it's thinking about it. You guys, can you see the little red one number at the lower right? That's where when it starts actually doing stuff, it's going to accumulate a whole bunch of little tasks that'll show up here, and you'll start seeing all these numbers and stuff. It can take a little, this is it doesn't take so long if you're just asking it to author a comment, but this is, in my experience, it's almost like if I wanted to write something, I might just use Chat GTP and paste it in. Chat GTP, like having it help you authoring comments is pretty useful thing. To me, it's not something I really need frequently. To me, it's more the edge case weird things I run into on an inspection, which, definitely comes up. All right, so you see how these things are kind of showing up here. So these are like tasks that it's completed. It's still asking to do more stuff, so I can give it more approvals, and you can see things are going to keep showing up. And it often like catches little things that it's done. I'm guessing that my Claude experience at the moment will be a little better than yours. So this is my Matthew Broderick moments, is like you are really teaching the computer to think. Like you guys know what I mean? War Games, that movie, and he's like trying to teach it
Yeah, yeah.
tic-tac-toe, and he's like, learn, damn it. But I mean, it's really a trip. I'm like, trying to teach it these things. So because I've worked with it more, I think it like can reference a bunch of that. And so it's more successful at like doing things because we've done stuff together. So I'm just trying to like, your initial experiences might not be quite as good as this as you have to correct it and kind of go back to the well a little bit. But look at what it's done already. I mean, it's starting to pound out all these chapters. So I'm just going to go ahead. You can click on each one of these and it'll bring you in and you can confirm stuff individually. Uh, I don't, and I would do that. Like sometimes I have it proofread my reports. And so I usually look at each thing. When I'm doing these big picture templates, I often just confirm all. So, I mean, geez, you guys know who built templates, like this obviously isn't that amazing, kind of just a basic starting structure, but still kind of a lot of work that it did in a matter of seconds. So let's see, I've got all these approved. So it's telling me now what it built, right? That it's got all these chapters. So now I'll say, can you start to create fields for required descriptions and also full narrative comments for common findings.
So a couple of things to keep in mind. One with the approval. So what one of the important things that I wanted to build into this is that I always wanted to see what AI was doing. I didn't want it making changes without me at least knowing. So basically everything goes to the approval side. You can set it to auto approve if you want. Again, it's a business decision. But the when it makes a change, the change is made to the report. Like if you publish a report, the change is going to be in there. The approval, it's more of it logs what's been done and it logs how to undo it. And so if you hit approve, all it does is just clears the flag. If you hit decline, then it has instructions to undo whatever it did. But that I built it that way so you can just hit confirm all, and all it does is just clear all those flags off. It's not like it actually there's nothing that you have to approve before you can move forward.
Super helpful, Tim. And I think, the approval was us trying to be cautious. We don't want to like have a tool where without you knowing it, AI is like rewriting a bunch of things. So it's on you if you like want to get rid of. I have mine on manual. I kind of like approving things. It moves so freaking fast at certain stuff as it is that it's hard for me to keep up with it sometimes. So I personally like it, but everyone's got their own take on it. Like if you want to fly through things, you don't need the approval process. Oh, hey, Allison, you had a question. You're muted still, so
I know I had to find my unmute button.
yeah.
So speaking of that auto approve situation, like I'm kind of doing one as you're doing one, trying to practice and listen.
Nice.
Wait, but where do I find that approval process? Because that's exactly where I'm at right now. And I don't see where I'm supposed to approve things.
So
Oh,
you have
sorry.
it?
Yeah, confirm all. Okay.
Yeah, there
Okay.
you go. So if you're
Okay.
searching for it, you might need to click on that button where there's a little one at the lower right. And I have noticed, Tim, every once in a while there's like something in there that seems like it's maybe from a different report or something.
Yeah, so you can click
Um,
view all changes there. It'll tell you what report it's in, and you have to go to that.
oh, okay.
Actually, you can from here, you can just approve it from another report if you want to clear it out.
Okay.
But it'll tell you what report it is and give you the opportunity just to clear.
Quick
Oh, yeah, it
question.
was a change on like a different job. It's interesting.
How do we set the auto approve?
See right down here under the write a message, there's like manual, automatically approve, skip all approvals.
Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. Thank you for letting me be the
No,
guinea
this
pig.
is great. I'm so glad you're here. And like that's the whole point of this is like I know some of this is going to feel like it's not like totally magic yet. Like I mean, this isn't you just wave a phone around, it writes a report for you. But this is an insanely powerful tool if you start getting your head around it for being able to really leverage ScribeWare tools of inspector-only notes and gunny sacks and contractor tags. I mean, you can teach it to build that stuff, which is pretty cool. So now it looks like it's starting to populate kind of a library. See how some of these tags are my library. So it looks like it's starting to author some comments. I'm just confirming them all and letting it keep charging here without. When I've been so far, I've had it build a well template, a pool inspection template, and a phase inspection template, and it seemed to do an amazing job. Mike Paris is on here. Mike, didn't you try out the phase inspection? How was it?
Yeah, I tried it out. It's very good. I mean, it's got most of the things that you would want. There's always things that you'll want to change, but for the most part, it's a workhorse and it saves you a tremendous amount of time. So
Yep.
yeah, I thought it was really good.
Cool.
I built the one for a maintenance report today.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, my thought on these is that not that it's you having AI generate a perfect template, but geez, if it can get you like 80% of the way there, and then you can start really, crafting it yourself, then it's this massive time saver. Mike, sorry, you had your hand up for a bit. How can I help, man?
I was going to say I've started using Claude the other day. I integrated them into the software, and it's pretty interesting. I actually messed up and put an observation in for my windows in the exterior. I wanted them interior, so I asked Claude. I said, "Hey, is there any way can you fix that for me instead of me having to erase my whole observation and redo it?" And he was able to get the observation moved over, but it didn't move the photos. And for a second there, I couldn't retrieve my photos. They were out of the library. So I just had him revert it real quick, and photos came back. So I just X'd them out and had him redo it again and add the photos in. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So I
Cool.
was
No,
able
that's a cool use case. Tim, can you let us know where we at with photos? Because I haven't had much luck having it place photos yet. Do you know where we're at with that?
Still
it kept
working on it.
saying some kind of error for me. It was
I
error
got it.
400 something
Okay.
where
Yeah,
it was saying photos.
I've gotten it to do it in testing several times, but I hear that people aren't able to do it. So that's one that I need to dive into a little bit better. Um, the biggest thing there is and we probably a good time to talk about this. So there is a submit feedback tool within the MCP. And that's the main thing that I would want to get across tonight is using that to, like, if you run into those weird situations, you don't have to hit the submit feedback for ScribeWare. You can do that also if you want to actually have a response about it. But if you say submit feedback, like ask, like in your chat, say, hey, that didn't work. You moved that, but it didn't move the photos. It left the photos behind. This, was a big pain. I had to do this. I had to revert. Like, tell it what happened and what you didn't like and why it was wrong. And like sometimes I'll like, can you analyze why this was wrong and put your findings into a submit feedback? And so it'll do all the thinking because it can see what it did and what happened. And then it will basically write a feedback in language that is designed for AI to read.
Oh,
That then I can take that and have AI look at it and interpret it and then say, oh, that this is not working because this tool doesn't have the right permissions or whatever. And then I go through those, I pull all those feedback items and go through and look at what the suggested fixes are, I kind of make edits and stuff like that. But yeah, that would be my main thing is if you have stuff like that happen, just ask it to submit feedback,
okay.
and just give it as much information as you can. It'll send the last prompt that you did. It'll send your reasoning for why it was wrong, and then it'll categorize it. It'll say, like it has different categories. It'll put it in like, insufficient, bad tool, insufficient information. Like it'll try to make it easy to fix and to update. And so
And
this is going to
that's
be a tool
that's
that just evolves.
it's incredibly valuable to us, right? Because like collectively as a team, we can all be working to train Claude to speak ScribeWare better, right? And find the little gaps and help it kind of do it better. So that feedback, there's actually moments where I'm like, hey, did you learn like a new way that I work? And I'm like, would it be helpful if you submit feedback to ScribeWare? And it's like, yeah, I will. So I don't know how helpful that is, but like if I teach it like a whole, because it can accomplish a sequence of things. I mean, I just want to show you guys, look at this kitchen thing that it built. I didn't ask it anything, and it built a required field. So it set it as required. So we have 20 required items. It built a sort of list that I could have it change. It came up with acceptable marginal deficient, which is cool. But if you didn't like that, you could be like, hey, I noticed you use acceptable marginal deficient. Can you use, good, bad, medium, or whatever? And it would just change all that. So like something like this, if you decided, once you'd built your template that you wanted to change that, you could be looking at like days of work, and now it's like do it and it's like it's done. So the stuff like that is just incredible. Now it also built inspector only notes. So it did this because it took a lot of assumptions of other templates that I built. And so your first experience might not be quite this miraculous, but no, it used no modifier because I didn't really tell it what modifiers to use, which is probably kind of good in the beginning. And once, like if I really getting this template going, I'd probably now go into my settings and get the modifiers set up for how I wanted them in an age and place template. And then you could have it like apply those to all the comments. But pretty extraordinary. I mean, this was like, how long did this take us? Like 10 minutes? Like, and I mean, this would have taken me like a day to like author all these comments and build all these notes. So I just wanted to give you some sense of like how powerful this is. So Richard, sorry, you've had your hand up for a while, man. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. So all this with Claude is going to base it only on ScribeWare, our library and our templates that we have. It's not going to pull it from any place else.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. This is you using Claude to help manage your library, So you're steering. Now there's some collective education, right? Like we're trying to hard to teach it like, well, what's a gunny sack and what's an inspector note and what's a required field. So I've been working on a glossary of terms that I, want any LLM to be able to kind of speak, and then I think our long-term goal is to actually have a coach that's sort of built into ScribeWare for template management and curation, and arguably even workflows where it could make suggestions of places that you could speed up your workflow or change your template, I mean, again, some of this is kind of like we just have to keep seeing where it moves. But those are some ideas that I've had. But yeah, Richard, the idea with this MCP is I think the thing it's really great at right now is if you want to fiddle around with templates in a way that's 10 times faster than it used to be, this thing is your friend, So like at the moment it's not replacing our typical workflows that we have, but it lets you now access ScribeWare tools for template curation and construction in ways that Robert, I mean, poor Robert and I went around forever on trying to help him build a template. And it was just a lot of work. Like he wanted to customize a template based on something else, and it just took a lot of work. And this is a tool that would solve that. So particularly if you're newer to ScribeWare or you're like, man, I want to do some big changes to my template, this is amazing. Like at the moment, it,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I mean, it's just, and it's
Yeah.
hard. Like we built this really cool tool, but like there were certain things you wanted to do to it that just I'd have to wait till December to make certain changes because I'd need like a day to like go dink around with stuff. So now that's gone. Like and you might need to coach it. And one thing I did here is I built an entire template really quickly. If I were really a little more serious about this, I probably would have started with I would have had to build the main structure, and then I'd probably dive deeply into one chapter and get a chapter set up the way I wanted it because I would be able to fix mistakes and get it exactly like I want it and like fix the modifiers. And then once you have a sample, you can be like, hey, remember how we did the interior circulation and stairs? I want you to do that to like every other one. And then you just turn it loose or have it do a chapter at a time. But I do find that the bigger project you give it, like if you like sift through my library of 7,000 comments and change this, it's the likelihood of it drifting is much higher than if you can give it much more focused things and even build like a concrete example and then have it kind of repeat it. It seems like it's the most effective.
All right,
So
but real quick, what I was trying to say is being someone like me who's only been using ScribeWare for a couple months, and quite frankly, I only really got one template down and it's not ready yet, but it's workable for me. And it's
Yep.
because unfortunately, I got into this and then we got hit, so I'm busier than heck.
Yep.
This tool will still work for me. I'm just going to have to coach it more based on the library that I was already have. Is what you're trying to say.
You would. I mean, so one of the first things I might do, Richard, to help yourself move forward is just write down for yourself what are the changes I want to make to my template.
Okay.
Like, and just get them down on paper. And then you could even push, I'd take one at a time. And when you like, hey, Claude, I want an all caps blue title for all my comments, I don't currently have one. Here's one that I just did that looks like this. Could you do that to every comment in this section and turn it loose and see how it does? And then you'd be like, all right, how about the whole chapter now? And then how about my whole template, so and kind of just think of, is that helpful? I mean, like that's how I would be thinking of it to kind of manage your template. You still need to like give it, it's garbage in, garbage out. So you have to give it some good specific directions and maybe even build a little thing that's like, look how I did this. I want this everywhere, you know what I mean? Like, and that's where it'll save you an insane amount of time. And it would be, I'd love your feedback, Richard. Like you could even ask it, like, are there places, just see what it says. Like, are there places in my template you think we could change it to speed things up, use inspector notes or a gunny sack or a parent comment and just see what it says. I mean, you could always experiment a little and play with it, like this is where like we're all kind of relying on everybody here to play with it and tell us what you learned. And so Daniel's had his hand up for a while. Daniel, it looks like you're driving, but good to see you on here, man. Why don't you share with us?
Hey, yeah, I'm driving. It's past midnight in Portugal, but I've been on the MCP for a little over a week now and had some spare time and really got to dug in deep to my template. And I can say, kind of to speak to workflow, like it's got usage limitations on workflow. It's really hard to just generate an entire report on the kind of usage that you have within Claude. You'll overburn it. You'll use all your usage. You can't get a report done for another 5 hours. Yep. So that part's kind of tricky. But what it does really well at is just like processing through what you already have. So like maybe I had a kitchen section that was just kind of a mess of no real sections. It was just one big chapter. And I'm like, hey, let's clean this all up and then break out all those, gigantic gunny sack comments to, instead of being one big comment, like make it look more like the reports that we see Dylan write, where everything's like really well laid out and much smaller parent comments. That's like, just click and all the text is much, all the boiler text is much closer matched to the finished modifier that you want to use. And it just made it so much faster to like break down main comments into 10 different smaller comments. And that made it so much cool.
No,
but just for organizing, right? Not for generating, because then you got to trust it. But if your content is there, like just clean up my mistakes.
That's right. And I think, Daniel, where I'm really bullish about, so we had a people that we're sort of friendly with tell us that they were going to, launch a competing software that was fully AI driven. And you're going to go in and wave your phone around. It was going to just write a report for you. And, unicorns were going to jump around and stuff. And, they quit already. They've been doing it. It didn't take like a year, I don't think, before they quit. And it's not that it can't do that, but if it can do it, it's going to be really expensive. And it just
Yeah.
doesn't make sense at this point. You're kind of burning a lot of tokens and a lot of credit to do things that people are frankly really good at. I mean, one of the things that I've learned by dinking around with AI is that humans have an insanely cool set of skills. Like we really do. Like we do things that are incredible and that I just took for granted. And yet, this thing could save you literally months of work dinking around in templates. So there is miraculousness here in AI, and I love it. But I appreciate that, Daniel. And thanks for giving us the feedback. I know you've been
And,
on the cutting edge with some of the
and
workflows, and that's what we want with this MCP is people really experimenting with different things and letting us know what they're having success with. Because it's definitely conceivable we can build some of this into ScribeWare more. But our hope is that what we build in will be, kind of we will have field tested it a bit. We kind of know the concept works.
and
Um, yeah.
one thing I was surprised about was how much visibility into the comments it had. Like as far as it can tell the exact library category and the name and exactly where everything is. And I even had one comment where it kept insisting that I had, what they would call legacy comments of like 50, 60,000 characters that would say something like about a US GFCI plug on a Bosch washing machine. Like I know it's not in my observation comments, but it was still seeing it. And so it was able to like, no, this comment saw that it was a certain amount and it had seen so much of the legacy stuff that it's attached that we can't see on the front end of the software, but on the back end, it's still there. And I was able to like, just, okay, we'll start this comment completely from scratch to get rid of that. So I think a lot of the times, a lot of that hidden data that maybe it's in there, maybe we can't see it, but I feel like it's there on some of my comments and
Interesting.
it can
Yeah.
see that.
Well,
So
and that a lot of that's going to depend like how your template's constructed, and keep in mind most of us within ScribeWare could have 5 or 10 different templates that are all in there somewhere. Like within any given template, we're trying to only
yeah,
serve up your library within that template, but your whole ScribeWare account would have. And I'm guessing that it's only fishing for stuff within the template you're using. I don't know how that works, Tim. Do you know?
Uh, as far as finding comments or
Yeah, like if you were having it search through comments in the library,
yeah.
you'd probably have to give it specific directions to search through other comments. But like I know a lot of you like want to grab a gunny sack out of my template or something, and I bet you Claude might be able to do that. I actually haven't experimented with that, so you could play with that. But
Claude
Yeah,
can
so
definitely do that, Dylan.
enough.
I had it
okay,
do that with my template. It works.
Jason,
Yeah,
I love it.
it
That's
was.
awesome. Oh
Yeah.
man.
Yep.
yeah, so there
So
is some context that goes into because it's run through desktop, it can tell what you're looking at in desktop. So like when you started this, you said, "Hey, I have a template or a report called age in place." You technically didn't have to do that. You could just say start on the current the open report. And that's actually how I usually tell if it's working. Like I'll just ask what report is open. And as like my generic test thing. But so it can tell what report is open and what chapter you have open. So if you just say in the current chapter, add this, whatever. You don't have to specify that. And it also, I think by default, when you ask it to look through libraries, I'd have to go back and check. Either there's different parameters that it can feed in, and it has all that in the tool instructions. But it can decide whether to look through all their libraries or just the libraries associated with the current template. And usually based on how you prompt it, if you say look through all the libraries, it's going to look in the tool instructions and know how to do that. And I forget whether it has to put the parameter for all or for just that one. I think by default, it just does the library that you're on because it's a lot less tokens to look through just the ones attached to and I think you can have it do it only attached to the current chapter, only attached to the current report. But yeah, there is some context that goes in from desktop.
And so another thing I just wanted to point out, if anybody on here is kind of newer to ScribeWare, or you like want to import something from another, system, or you have like a Word file of a report that you love. I mean, you can literally like dump those into this little message box and say, build a template that looks like this, and it'll start doing that. Like, and you could, even have it author the entire library, but tell it you want the comments to sound like the ones that are in that report, right? And it'll start doing that. So like The templates is now like completely different than it's ever been as far as template creation. Like you really can kind of dump anything in there. I mean, I worked with a guy the other day that came from a weird system. We didn't have an import, and I just dumped his report in, and like and you know what we're doing here today, like it just built its chapters, its sections, its fields. I didn't have it mess with a library because he wanted to do that on his own and kind of bring in his comments more manually so he could kind of like curate that, which I thought was a good. So here, just so you see what I'm doing, I asked it to build contractor tags. So it's probably asking like it needs tools to do the contractor tags, but I already have a bunch of contractor tags sitting in my settings, and so I just had it apply them. So we'll confirm all, and we could go look and see if some of these, yeah. So general contractor for no grab bars installed, and plumbing for faucet controls. So, and I don't know if you guys, if you're newer to Scribe, you might not know this. And these contractor tags is one of the things I know Tim's going to do a little remodel work around, but they're pretty awesome. You can auto generate a summary page of all the plumbing items, all the general contractor items by just using these tags that stay hidden in the report. Now, again, if you're Claude, like if you're brand new to it, you might have to teach it a little more about contractor tags. I'm not certain. But this is where like I've been trying to do submit feedback and give stuff to Tim where like you know, as your Claude talks to ScribeWare, like we're giving it these directions so that it kind of knows what these different tools are. So Zoom user, did you have a question? Sorry, I don't know who you are. That's all I got on the name.
Is it me? Maybe I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Brett. Great. Maybe you covered this in the first 5 minutes. I came on a little bit late, but could you just explain the MCP, and is it basically an agent, and is it interfacing directly with Claude, and how does it, like, who is it available for ScribeWare users? And then lastly, it sounds very flexible. So like, I assume if we have an existing template that we're using for our company, we can dump that in and have it be interactive to be like, okay, this is what's here. I want to achieve, XYZ. Let's comb through the garage section and look at, are there any places that you see that overlap? There's duplicity of comments or whatever it is. And it will tweak it as you go.
Yep. Yeah, or you would be a project you do. So you'd be sitting at your desk and be like, you know what, I've got all these redundant comments in my garage. I'll just ask Claude to clean it up. And you don't sort of dump the template into Claude. Claude can look at it and see it,
Okay.
And so you would come in here and you'd say, hey, Claude, thanks for the great work you've been doing. I like to butter it up a little bit. And then, I've got all these extra comments in my garage chapter that are driving me nuts. Can you get rid of, could you make a list of all the potential redundant ones, and then I can just look at them and we'll delete them, and that whole
So you're
little
basically
list
pointing
would
it,
show up.
you're pointing it like in the direction of the template or
Yeah.
whatever it is that you've created. Go
Yeah, that's
here
right. You might
and do
want to
this.
have a report open and call it like, hey, Claude, and the client name or something, just to make sure it's like working in that job. This is where, like, I think when we have things built into ScribeWare, it'll be a little less handholdy. Maybe, I don't know. We got to see. Like, but at the moment, there's moments I'm like talking to it like a 2-year-old where I'm like, okay. I mean, you saw how I did it here. Like, I have a blank report open that says age and place. And so that's, I'm kind of being a bit pedantic with it, but like, I've been having luck with that. And, but it's funny, sometimes it gives you all these approval things and you're just like, go for it. And then it does it all. So I don't know. Sometimes
what is MCP?
It stands for Model Context Protocol, and I'd probably need Tim to like tell you what that is.
I can answer that. I've
great,
been looking into that.
Thanks.
So MCP is basically a language, somewhat like a language that allows the AI to talk to whatever you're connecting. So almost think of it as like a cable or like a type of cable that is universal. So this cable can plug into this and it can plug into that. And so an MCP can plug in from your AI and it can plug into your web browser. It can plug into ScribeWare or it can plug into other things. So the MCP is almost like the go-between. It's the road that the information travels on. And before this protocol was created, you had to like build a whole road every single time from this thing to that. And now MCP is like, the road is, you can use it for everything. So they kind of designed it so that it can be used between many different things.
And Luke, can you tell, I know you've been playing with this. Do you have some other use cases and things that you've been doing that would be helpful to share?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it'd be helpful, but I honestly, like what you're saying of like looking for things to help clean up and help to make sure you don't have like weird grammar issues or spelling mistakes. That's a big one for me. In terms of like higher level thinking, I have tried to do it, and it it can be a little bit of a wrangle where you're like, that's not what I'm thinking, or like, I don't know about that. So I've gone through certain sessions, not just with ScribeWare, but with some other things where it's like, I spent 4 hours and I didn't get anything out of this. So be prepared for that. I mean, it's still in early days, so that might come up with you. It's not gonna be magic every time, but the things with like cleaning up, just cleaning things up and asking it to like look at your library, and it will catch all the minor details that you might be too exhausted to catch. So like that's the biggest one. I just have, yeah, so that's the biggest one.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, if there's a few different little workflows that I built, and one of the things that I did, and Tim, you could look at this, and maybe we don't even need this. I mean, I started doing this early on. I have in my template, I have a how to read this report chapter, which is designed for people using my template that just want help. You can click on directions and stuff. But then I built this other one, inspector preferences. And when I taught Claude something that I thought might be really helpful for me going forward, I kind of like, put it here. And so like I kind of gave it some clues of like, well, how do I want comments authored? Like what style, like that I want this all caps blue title in the top, and that I often have a little bold recommendation and then make a recommendation. And, I gave it some writing rules. I mean, one of my huge pet peeves, I don't mean to offend you if you like this, but I hate in inspection reports where it just says recommend. And so I was like, don't do that in my reports, and so you can, and if you don't do that, it'll like do like it catches how people do things, on their reports that are out on the internet, and it'll borrow that. And so, this is you put your preferences. So I tried to give it some like writing tools. And here's like kind of a comment that is like, formatted the way I like to have a lot of comments. And then I explained to it what a parent comment is and what its purpose is and what the photo captions to bullets does. I explained what a gunny sack deficiency comment is, and tried to like teach it that. So there's a bunch of things where I like kind of, and if you build this into an inspector only note, I think Tim has built some areas that I'll show you in just a second where you can put a bit of this into ScribeWare. I actually haven't used it yet. So, but if you have these like prompts to give it, you can always tell it to go refer to this section. And this is available, like because I used an inspector note, it's not printing in the report, yet it's in every single one of my templates. So I could always tell it to go review these little prompts that I've given it. One is called a pre-send checklist. And so I say, hey, Claude, run a pre-send check on, the report with this name and address, and it's looking for spelling and grammar, making sure I got blue titles, cardinal directions, because I use a lot of voice to text. The voice to text capitalizes the cardinal directions when I don't want it to. And so I have it look for that specifically. The Annabid beetles are out here in the Pacific Northwest, and nothing ever spells it right. So I like put in that, so you could, words that are commonly misspelled in your report, barge raft or whatever it is, you could like, build that into some language. It hasn't really done anything this, but I was experimenting, like look for alarming language. I just thought that'd be an interesting thing for it to check for. And it's often like, I didn't find any alarming language in your report. I'm like, oh, great. I feel so much better now. Uh, anyway, but you could play with your own pre-send check and like, Tim, do you have any thoughts around this? I mean, is this?
Yeah, so that's a good transition to context. So there's a few different places where we've added context, and I think I added it after Dylan did all this. But yeah, if you go to settings and then AI, so I guess uh there's there's a couple different things that there are company level preferences and like personal preferences, and this is absolutely where that would go. If it's doing something stupid, like it never builds a gunny sack right, and it always makes it, that's a submit feedback. Like that's something that, if it's not reading scribeware right, and it's something everybody would benefit from, then that's a submit feedback. But for this, I have two sections for guidance. You've got the standing instructions and you've got extended guidance. So basically, Dylan could take everything that he just showed you there and paste it into extended guidance. And then he doesn't have to have it reference that. Extended guidance, the MCP has to fetch. And so that's stuff that is not already in its context every time. So you want to keep you can put that as long as you want because it has to read it. The standing instructions, that's meant to be that loads with the MCP and it goes into the context immediately. And so if you have that too long, it's just gonna burn through your tokens because it's getting that constantly.
Mm.
And so basically the idea here is that you would put your bulk of your guidance in the extended guidance, and then you would use the standing instructions just to tell it when to check the extended guidance. So basically, a standing instruction might be when I ask you to review the report, follow the rules in the extended guidance for reviewing the report.
Yeah,
And
okay.
that goes in, and that's it's like, kind of a higher level instruction. And then when you tell it, hey, review the report, it already knows I need to check extended guidance. If you say review the report, it jumps into the extended guidance, pulls out what it needs, and it'll run your review the way that you've defined it to do. And so those are what those two different things are. But basically, I would use the standing instructions. Like maybe there might be some standalone standing instructions to use, but most of the time it's basically when should I when should I look at extended guidance? Like if I ask you to do this, find that in this section of extended guidance. The other thing that I'm not entirely sure if anybody is using yet as far as context goes, um, if you go into a library entry, just pull up a comment that's already in the library, um, and click on it, the dots in the top corner, and then edit in library. Um, so I've added a section called AI guidance that goes into every comment. And when AI reads your library, it gets that information along with the comment. I haven't quite narrowed down the use case for this. So this is something I would ask you guys to help me with to figure out how that actually is going to be used. But the way I would envision it is to like for the people who want to say, I want to use only my comments and I want you to find and it starts putting in this one comment over and over that's just not the right one for the situation. You could go in here into that specific comment and say, don't use this plumbing comment when I say this. Don't use this, or always use this one rather than the others. Um, and kind of coach it that way. And then that way, like the goal is to kind of have that guidance layered so that, you're not telling it every single time it loads, when I say that a faucet is leaking, use this specific comment. It doesn't need to know that up front.
That's
But when
brilliant,
you
Tim.
say,
Yeah.
faucet is leaking and it goes and searches through the plumbing comments, then it says, oh, always use this one first unless there's this, or this.
Wow.
And it'll pull that data when it needs it and not kind of fill its context window with stuff you
That's
don't need yet.
brilliant. And so what you're really doing is the problem that you would run into is like Gary Smith, I know was working on a pretty cool AI prompt like program, but I think his prompts ended up getting to be like 10 pages or something. And then Gary, you on here? I think he was burning through a lot of tokens. So what you're saying is like by layering these instructions, you're only pushing it through instructions when you want that to be read, essentially.
Right. And then there's
Yeah.
also another level outside of this. So these are the ones built into ScribeWare. I would push you towards using these because then later when it's more integrated, these will all be there in place for you. But you also have in Claude, you have like your claude.md file where you can put in Claude specific, like you can put in instructions that for all of Claude to use, and you can kind of prioritize those. So you can teach your own Claude how to do it. But if you put it through ScribeWare, then later when there's more stuff built in, it'll be able to get those rules as well. All of this guidance stuff can be edited through Claude as well. So you don't have to actually use this interface or the other one. You can just say, add this to the company to the always the standing rules, add this to the extended guidance, and it can edit that guidance for you. It'll be a tool call and you'll have to approve, edit my guidance. Um, but that can all be done through the Claude window as well,
Love it.
through the conversation.
That's super cool, Tim. I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying that, Tim, because that was literally the question I was going to ask about standing instructions and extended guidance, like what
Nice,
the
Mike.
benefit of that was.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Thank you for that.
Keep the first one really short because it's going to be entered, and it's not like you can't override. Like you can't say. I mean, you can put in your standing instructions. Whenever you respond, talk like a pirate. Like you can put stupid stuff in there. It's not always going to follow those. Like it'll say, "Oh, I sense someone's trying to do some prompt injection, and I ignored this rule." But it'll. Sometimes it loses that context over time if you're in a really long conversation and it has to trim and compress the context multiple times. Sometimes that stuff will drop out and you have to remind it, and so you just have to be on top of it. It's um, there's kind of some people will put everything in one chat and just keep going, and then the longer you chat with AI, the more data it's sending with every chat because essentially it sends the entire conversation every time in some degree. Um, and so, starting a new chat, you'll lose a lot, you'll use a lot less tokens. But then you'll have to reteach it to do stuff. So that's when you just put it into those context things of, um, you know, like I say, if you find something you're like, this is just doing it wrong, submit feedback. You can put it in your context as well, but if it's a
Does
company
everybody
thing.
kind of get that concept? I mean, that is like, it doesn't always remember everything you taught it. And so you're trying to like store and create these prompts that like if you teach it something great, have it write a prompt and like save it somewhere. That's what I've been doing so that I can be like it. And I find that it seems to remember lots of stuff. It's not totally clear to me like when it remembers things and when it doesn't. But if I have it write that little prompt and save it somewhere, that's why I started putting them in my template. Is like, it's just when it did some things really well, I didn't want to lose that. Uh, so
Yeah, Dylan, I wrote this in the chat, but I've been using in Claude the project feature, and in the project it kind of silos everything off. And I asked the Claude to create what's called a run book, and then the run book is Claude's way of saying these are all the things I came across during our session, and that what I want to remember each time. And then you can create a new chat connected to the project, and it gains all the context every single time just through on Claude side.
mhm.
And this way, it keeps the run book lean. It'll say like, I'll be like, can you tidy up the run book so we're not using a lot of tokens? And it'll say, yeah. And like you can
Nice.
do a lot of token management there and a lot of memory management.
And this is
there.
where Luke's saying these projects live. And I haven't played around with this all that much, but you can see I did turn my pre-send report check into a project. I can't remember what
It takes a little learning, and the run
Yeah.
book is literally a file that you have to upload and replace to the project. It doesn't do it on its own.
I gotcha.
So you have to
Yeah.
do a little bit of that. But this way, I felt like it really cleans up token usage, and it really gets the context every single time.
Okay.
It doesn't have to like, hold on, let me check the context. It like preloads it.
hmm
So that's nice.
Cool. Yeah. Jason, did you have another question, man?
Yeah, sorry, this may not be AI related, but it reminded me when you guys had the big gunny sacks brought up. So I tried using something out of Donnie Bentley's template where he had periods at the top
Oh,
and bottom, and I thought, okay, they're placeholders, so I can come in and add an observation that isn't already in my gunny sack.
yep.
But I'm finding what happens is it opens the gunny sack list again, and I can't, I don't have a place that I can click and add an observation in or a quick gunny sack, a quick caption that wasn't in my list. and it just always wants to open back up that gunny sack, where you can click on another one and hit next or end. Is there any
There
way to
is.
build something out where I can easily get in there and add a quick caption on a defect that maybe didn't exist and it
Yeah,
not
so
take me back in the
the
gunny? I know I'm doing
yeah,
something wrong.
no, so the period on, I
There's
mean,
a workaround on that. When y'all updated the ScribeWare, if you'll create you a placeholder right below your heading, click your on a phone. If you'll click right there, then you can drag the mouse. Hit your space bar and drag down to it.
Oh, okay. So I'm just not
Try that.
using that period right. Gotcha.
Well, when they upgraded, it changed it a little bit, but that's the workaround for it.
Okay. Can you show me that, Dylan? If I see you do it, I'll probably I
are
kind
we
of
t
understand
are
what
we
It
Donnie's
talking
has to
saying,
be
on,
but
on the phone.
are
oh,
we,
on the
I
on
would
that
have to get
mobile
my
app.
phone on.
Okay. You don't
Um,
have to do that, Dylan. That's
well,
that's
let's
fine.
get through what we're trying to get through, but my understanding is that too, that I mean, when I've been playing around with that, if you it works slightly differently on the phone, but you kind of have to like hold your finger where that period is. If you touch it, it opens the gunny sack, but if you kind of like
Okay.
long press on it, then it lets you access that little period,
Perfect. That's all I needed. Thank you.
Yeah. I know what you mean though. And that's such a good workflow, the hybrid gunny sack photo caption kind of workflow. So I get it. Okay, so just MCP stuff. Does anybody has this been helpful? Like, anyone want to chime in some other questions or comments or things that other people have been using it for? Again, to me, this is game changing for template creation and like being able to whip out different templates or create, new ideas with your templates and experiment with things and not have it be like take insane amount of your time. So that's where it's really great. And I remain pretty committed to wanting to teach when we get into workflows, having them fish from our templates, because I just think it's a much safer use of AI for us that will help us like still retain our knowledge and the way we speak and keep it us instead of just turning, letting go of the wheel and letting the computer write our reports for us. Yeah, Robert.
Yeah, cool. Let me lower my hand there. No, yeah, appreciate it. I mean, this I was like, where the hell was this like, a month or two ago?
I
But I
know,
mean,
totally.
I can see it helping. But my question and moving forward is I had gotten somebody, remember how we were talking about getting all the observations and recommendations out. And then we figured out the InterNACHI template was pretty good for at least for my purposes. And then one thing is I had somebody help me. They just got every observation for every single thing with the recommendations and were able to put it into a printed PDF, which was insane. So I was like, great. And so now that I have that, I can literally take that and take what I want to import it in using MCP, right? I think so. It
Yeah,
sounds
yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, and again, the bigger the project, the more you can kind of break it up. I think there's less risk of it kind of drifting and starting to do weird things.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, it should be awesome at that. Like anything
Okay.
you wanted to do to your template where the like global template changes, it is a true phenomenal game changer. It's
Right.
just it can do like months of work in no time. It's really amazing. And as you know, once we get this down, we're going to be starting to get into some of these workflows. But again, we'll see where it all goes. But I remain bullish on the idea that AI will speed us up if and not be too expensive if we keep building these corrals for it where it's working within our templates, you know. And the more it's kind of open, I think it's riskier and more expensive, and it doesn't leverage what it's as good at, personally, at
So,
least that's
Cool. Thank you.
so Dylan, so I looked through the chat. There's a couple good conversations in there. The um one question that's come up a couple of times is how do you install it and everything. And I know there's a video that we have that can help with that. I assume you can link that with whenever this comes out. The other is about who has access. Right now, it is for beta testers only. But it will be coming out to everybody when we do the big there's a lot that's in beta testing right now that'll be coming out as a big update, and Dylan can talk more about that. But if you want to use it now, you would have to get on the beta testing. I think those are the um, main things that I've seen in the questions.
Cool. Oh, Allison, that's so cool you wanted to do one of those. I'm happy to share this for you if you want. Somebody wanted one. Maybe it was you. Somebody wanted one the other day, and I was like, I'll build one of those on this little demo. So I'm happy to share it with you. Just hit. And I wanted to do that. The contractor tags for you was something I wanted to help you with, and I just kind of showed you how I did that. But that's kind of what I wanted to do to your checkbox template that you were working on.
Well, I'm working on building. I'm going to keep my tech that alone. I'm going to leave that report alone for my basic residential, but I'm working on a contractor remodeler, like pre-construction.
Cool.
And I'm going to use your stuff for that. But yeah, building the tags was really cool. And now I'm out of usage, so I have to wait till midnight.
Yeah, I know that kind of can happen some, is that it does. And it's weird, like if when you get really into AI, I've like come out of my office and I feel like I'm in the twilight zone. It's like affected my dreams and stuff. It gets kind of weird, you guys. It really, I mean, I'll be honest, but anyway, someone's asking, yeah, the pre-drywall. I mean, if you guys want one of these templates that I built from AI, just use the submit feedback, and we'll try to load them for you. One of our projects, once we launch 7, which will be when everybody has all of this stuff, is to have a better template sort of corral where everybody can fish from different templates. But at the moment, we've just got a few other things we got to finish first. So. I'm trying to read through all these chats here. Thanks for putting them in. Sorry, I wasn't even looking at them. I was focused on other stuff. So,
and thanks for posting that YouTube link. So yeah, the YouTube link in the bottom, that's that was a call between me and Chris, and we went through setting up how to configure it. And so if you're using Claude Desktop, then that should get you running. One other thing that's important that I want to throw in there, like I said, the MCP lives in the desktop app. So when you do an update to desktop, there might be some MCP changes in there. Claude does not automatically get those changes. It loads all the MCP stuff when it starts up. And so you do have to close out Claude completely and restart it in order for it to grab all the new tool descriptions and anything that's been changed with MCP. So best practice for MCP would be that when you update ScribeWare, you have to completely exit out of Claude. So if you hit the on Mac, I think it does it a little better, but on Windows, if you just hit the X button and open it up, it doesn't restart everything. You have to like right click in the taskbar and exit, or you have to go to File, Exit, or Control Delete and like in the task, like just kill Claude completely, restart your computer. One of those, any of those should close it completely so that it repulls everything when it starts up. But I would just make sure you're doing that every time you get a ScribeWare update, just so you can have the most current tools. And I've made a lot of changes to the way feedback is done. I did lose a little bit of feedback with the old system, based on how it was logged, and so I've got a more robust feedback system to. So if you submitted something and it hasn't changed, just submit it again because there's a chance that a little bit of it got lost. But yeah, just make sure that you're refreshing desktop so that or Claude desktop so that it'll get the most recent rules.
And John Brunzel, sorry you feel like a caveman. Yeah, this is all pretty high tech. Hopefully everybody's keeping along. I mean, this is I've definitely, let's see, working on a pre-drywall. Happy to share it. Oh, cool. That's awesome. Someone's working on Joe. Bob Knowles is working on one. Great. That's awesome. Good to see you on here, Bob.
And Donnie, to your question about using an unbeta version, so the MCP, the way I like to describe it is just a toolbox. And so it just basically teaches AI to interact with ScribeWare. There's the way that it works is making the changes as you do it. So as long as you're not making changes that require the beta version to use, like if you're just changing, like, I want all my fields to be required, or I want none of my fields to be required, it makes that change. It makes it the same way as if you had spent an hour going and clicking on every single one of them. There won't be any issues with backwards compatibility. You just kind of be smart about, if you're making it do stuff with new features, then the other team members won't be able to see those because they don't have those features yet. But no worries about doing kind of standard things with it.
So, and I would just finish, we don't have to finish, but like one thought I had is that I could see doing another one of these meetings in a couple months. And my thought is that if a number of you are playing with this, we're going to start learning more. That like we'll have some different workflows down and people will have done some different things. But it really it takes a lot of playing again to kind of figure out what it's good at and what it's not good at. It's not good at everything. Like Luke kind of indicated, you can spend 3 or 4 hours in this weird AI world and not accomplish anything. But that in itself, you do learn. You're kind of like, well, I wasn't that good at that. Like I didn't make any progress. And then I have other moments where I just am truly flabbergasted and it does like a week of work for me in 15 minutes. So you just kind of got to dink around a little and like kind of dive in and play with it. We've tried to do it in a way that you're fairly protected. And I would definitely start with baby steps. Try to like think of some easy things for it to do. I remember when Tim first showed it to me and I like gave it such a hard thing to do. And he's like, God, start with something easy, to kind of like, ease your way into it a little bit. But I think that'll help. But we're really committed to trying to help deliver a powerful AI tool for both managing your reports and templates and running your business and speeding things up. But we're trying to do it in a way that doesn't put you at too much risk, if that makes sense. And I think some of these open AI things to me seem a little bit risky, and they might be for certain people that like that kind of business. Then you just have it write your reports for you. But I don't know. Hopefully you guys can let me know how you feel about it, but I feel like I don't want to let go of the steering wheel that much myself. So I still think people are better than AI at a lot of what we do. So I'd love to try to use AI for the things that it's really good at and keep us doing the things that we're good at.
So Dylan, there's one other non-AI feature that just went in, if you have time,
Yeah.
to demo, and this is a beta testing only one. And Donnie, you're gonna love this one. I don't know if you found it yet. So the you see above client and property info, where you have well, yeah, it's there too, but where you have above client and property info, you've got those 3 lines. Yeah, click on that. So this is a new way to drag sections and chapters around. You can also hide chapters now. And this is again in beta testing. So Donnie, to your question, don't mess with this with your team using other stuff, but you
Oh
can
my
have
God, that's
chapters
so
and
cool.
sections start not visible at all and then show them later in the reports, like all your ancillary services. You can put those aside and say, I only if I'm doing a 4 point on this one, I want to click a button to add it. I don't want it to automatically be in there. And then that way you can have required fields in those ancillary services that aren't going to count
Oh my
towards your
God,
required
Donnie.
fields. So there's for beta testers, it's a pretty significant change to the way that ScribeWare works. It kind of it got merged in without really going into the changelog, I don't think. So I don't know how many people have actually found it there, but definitely something worth playing around with. If
So
you
can I ask
use
a
the
question on this, Tim? Like, so I usually have 4 bathroom chapters, but if I want to, I could have like 10 of them and hide 4 of them for the weirder
so
ones, and then you just unhide it. You can unhide them on mobile.
You can unhide them on mobile, and you can actually, for bathrooms, unless there's differences in them, I would delete 3 of them and have one bathroom, and then you can set predefine a list of names when you duplicate.
Will it let
Um,
it create a pull down there?
Well, yeah, that's what he's saying. How do I do that?
yeah, so exit out of that screen, um, and you go to bathrooms, powder bathroom, and then the dot 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 up at the top right corner. Uh, this is the only place where you can define how it starts. So if you want it to start hidden, you would change it there, but then edit variations. you would click on that, and that's where you would put in your
Wow,
list of
sick.
powder room, hall bathroom,
Thank
primary
you. I've
Oh,
been
bathroom.
asking for
Donnie.
that for how long?
Yeah.
It
Thank
only
you.
took 2 years, Donnie.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's been on my list for a long time. I finally got to churn through it. So yeah,
You
you would
got it.
and then you could delete all the other ones. The nice thing with that is that they're
Forever.
all linked. So if you add 6 bathrooms and you make a change to one of them,
Jack
it
and
makes
Jill.
that change to all of them. Or like if you add a field to it, it'll it the hard part was like making it so that when you duplicate all
That
that, it
will
doesn't
make a
save all those
world
to
of
the
difference
template.
on commercial too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh
And
yeah,
RV.
bathroom
Thank you, Tim.
17.
Yep. And yeah, and then there's some logic in there. Like if you put like for commercial, if you say unit 1, and then when you add the next one, it's automatically gonna take if there's a number in it, it's gonna increment it by 1. And so if you have like unit 205 and you go to add another one, it's gonna default to unit 206, and then you can change it. So there's some cool stuff coming
Really?
with that.
If you're
Um,
doing multi-family houses, if you've done a 206, the next one would be 207.
Yeah, and so if you save it, if it's something you know you want to increment, put it in there as like unit 1, and then if you change it, then
I'm getting mine all
it'll
set up, Tim. I
yeah.
I can't wait
Yeah,
to play
you.
with it. Yeah, this is
Um,
super cool. I actually saw that you did this, and I just kept forgetting to dink around with it. So,
And I have
I'll
access to that on the beta.
on the
you
beta,
do,
but
but
your
that's one
team
that
won't.
your whole team won't. So if you change it, your
Yeah, but
team
if I
won't
can,
have it.
I can learn how to build it. That's the
Yep.
thing.
Yeah. So guys, we're trying to get a lot of stuff. We're launching ScribeWare 7 in the beginning of August is our plan at the moment. And we're still putting finishing touches on it, but it's going to be insanely powerful. Everyone will have this MCP ability. We're going to have that table functionality live for everybody, which is really, we'll do another meetup on that. It's such a great tool. And things like this, we're going to have scheduling available for people that is definitely not prime time for like Donnie Bentley, 20 people scheduling. It's not that level of scheduling. We're trying to be able to handle the kind of 1 to 3 or 4 person shops for scheduling. So this is all coming up really, really quickly. So, and if you know anyone that's interested in ScribeWare, it's never been easier to get a template set up. I mean, template setup before has been a big deal, and now it's like you could start with Donnie's template, but you could build a Florida version or whatever. Like, I mean, it's that it's unprecedented how much easier it is to get a template set up than we've ever had it. So it's pretty exciting.
Before you move on, it's
Yeah,
Gary.
yeah, Gary,
I'm a little hoarse. I'm not sure you can hear me, but
we
I wanted
got
to
you.
ask Tim is that feature that you just showed, if you could bring that back up, um, is it delete? Is it chapter delete and hide? Are they first cousins?
They're similar. They're just so technically when you delete a chapter, it hides it, but then it hides it in a way that you can recover it.
The reason
It's
I'm asking is I tried to use Claude and make some changes through that, and it deleted a chapter or two, and et cetera, et cetera. So there's some
If you
confusion
ever
in
have,
that.
if it, just so you guys know, if something's ever deleted and you hit the little pen to edit it, you can typically find deleted stuff here and retrieve it.
That's what I was going to mention. That I
Okay, cool.
recovered all of the things that I had deleted by using that edit feature,
Great. Awesome.
including the visibility with the eyeball thing that you had shown in that um, in the pull down. That
Yeah, this is really
yeah.
exciting, Tim. Wow.
yeah, so you would go to like now go to you're in your powder bathroom. If you use the plus menu like between the eyeball, yeah, so that's the chapter. So there's where you can
Sick.
add your Jack and Jill, and there's
Thank
a
you.
different but
Yeah,
similar
Donnie.
workflow on mobile.
I mean, Donnie, I've kind of wanted this for like 4 or 5 years, I think. It's like
Yeah.
Christmas, man. That's great. Yeah.
And then the eyeball with a slash through it, that's where you can hide and show checks. So like if you let's say you don't always have sinks in your bathroom, you can hit the hide button there and you can show what that is. That go down a couple to your sink chapter or section. Yeah, so if you hide that, it'll compress it. And then so you can have it start like that to where some of your really more unique things are start
Oh,
hidden,
so
and
the
that
weird stuff could be all compressed and kind of out of your way, and then you just make it visible. That's really nice. So like a good
yep.
example, like in my interior chapter, I have access points, indoor air quality and elevators, you know. And
Hmm.
I don't know, I don't really use those all that much, so I could just kind of shorten my template up a bit and just open them
And
when I
so
want them.
hiding it there won't change it in your template. It'll show the way it was. You have to use the dot 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 and then say start hidden. So click on that and then say starts visible. Click on where it says starts visible. And so now it'll start hidden in the like when you save your template, then the next one it'll start as because you want to be able to hide and show things in a report, not have it affect your template when you save it.
Yep.
And so you have to set it how you want it to start. But yeah, you can do that for all the chapters as well, like all the add-on stuff. Because the big problem with like, your irrigation chapter is that you can't put required fields in there, or else they show up in the count. But now you can
Mhm.
put required fields in your extra services and then hide them so that they don't show up as required until you show that
So
chapter.
that specificity in learning that hide, unhide feature and talking to Claude would take some coordination, right?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's some of this is built into Claude already. It's such a
got
new
you.
feature that I haven't put a lot of it in. I haven't really played with it on the MCP side. It should be able to do the main functions there, but I haven't put a lot of teaching about how to use it in there. So that's one of the things on my list to go back and do. But yeah,
Dude, that's amazing, Tim.
for
I
the
can't
people who are
wait.
beta testing, yeah, I play with it, figure out what's wrong with it, like submit feedback on it. I want to get this dialed in by the time we go live on it. So I want to make sure people
That
are
right
actually
Tim,
using
there
it.
is very important in my world.
Right.
Johnny, I know this is going to be big for you, man. It's going to be great. I know you've wanted it for a while. Tim, where are we at with contractor tags being able to be improved a little for the 7 launch? Do you think is that something that will get done, or is that unlikely?
That's most of what's on my schedule for next week.
Really?
Is
Nice.
working on that. Yeah.
Great.
So yeah, that's and that would be a whole nother call that we could go over, but I want to transition away from tags and use smart tags and like build that out a little bit more. Because there's some
Allison psyched. I love it.
um
We'll have a whole other call around those for
yeah.
sure. I mean, we definitely I apologize for those who want tables that we haven't been more, I don't know, they've just been kind of 90% of the way there. But when we launch 7, we'll be doing a bunch of meetups specifically around tables and how to use them and the smart tags and stuff. So we'll get that dialed in for everybody. So cool guys. Well, I really appreciate everybody being here. I hope you guys are excited as we are about all of this progress. Like the next, I really, we were starting to go down this path of like these sort of futuristic workflows, but I don't think we're that far away from some of these. We're trying to really figure out ways to do this that'll be cost effective and safe for everybody, and I think the MCP is going to let us play around with it and learn. So we really appreciate you guys and want your feedback of like what's working for you and what isn't, so that we can kind of try to make this lean and mean and actually like efficient use of AI that actually works well for us, and isn't just sort of a gimmick. So yeah, anybody last questions, or I think we're done. Yeah. Oh, Alex, what do you got, man?
I have a question just about whether Claude will be able to access your old reports. So could I say, for building a template, say, go to my garage section and find the 10 most common things that I say and make, give me check boxes for those. Can it filter through, can it go read my reports? Look at my last 300 reports and then,
I bet it can. It wouldn't surprise me if that's a lot of data usage just because it's got to read through so much. But I
it
mean,
doesn't have a way to check one chapter in every report quickly. Like basically, there's a get report tool, and so it would have to get report on every report. It would be a call for each report.
Okay.
And that would be something. It would probably, because each report is a different set of documents. It might be hard to like just go across reports like that.
Mhm.
But you could tell it to, I don't know that I would do 300 reports.
Yeah.
You can pick a sample of reports and then have it read all those and put that into the context and then answer questions based on that.
I'm so hard-headed. I tried all that.
Okay. And is
Yeah,
that
it
something that
burned.
we could improve, Tim, or is it just kind of like a tough sort of data management thing,
Can I,
period?
can
I'll
I
look
chime
at
in
it.
here for a second
Sure.
Yeah.
with the AI? So, number one, when you start dumping full reports into the memory bank for your particular AI software, whatever it is, whether it's Claude or anything, you're building its memory, which is great. But if you specifically, Alex, want to focus on one area, such as Garage, I suggest that you use Adobe and extract the Garage specific pages from a couple of your favorite reports and just put those pages into Claude and say
It's an
reference.
interesting idea. You
Yeah,
might even be
you
able to like
just
open them and screenshot it. I mean, I've dumped
you can
screenshots in there.
screenshots quicker too, yes, 100%, but just do the pages at a time so that you're not feeding it a
Right.
155-page document for each
Right.
report. Thanks. Sorry.
Yeah, that's actually cool. And that is a good thing to play with is this idea of screenshots. I've totally screenshot pictures and had it interpreted. Whoever, somebody got mad at me because I was like said it's not good at pictures. And I mean it can be helpful with pictures. It's not really good at it in the volume that we deal with as home inspectors. It's not efficient. So Chris, you had a question or comment or something?
Thank you.
Oh, did you? Oh, you're muted. Can you unmute, Chris? I feel like I heard you for a second and then it like stopped. Oh, you're muted here. I'll ask to unmute. Maybe that'll give you like a. How about that?
Okay, how's that?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, thanks. It's actually a question about Pocket, so I think it's a little off topic because you mentioned you were using Pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you like narrate your whole inspection with that?
So Pocket is an AI dictation tool. This is what, there's others of these that you could use. And I need to play with it more, but I mean it's kind of neat. Like the idea is that you turn it on and it listens to you. So, I have had it, for example, like I go around the outside of a building, I'm like it's cedar shingle siding, there's aluminum gutters, there's a gravel driveway, there's a concrete walkway, there's a concrete front porch. And then you could have it like, make a little document of that. You paste that in a Claude and it'll fill out all the styles and materials in ScribeWare, right? So
Right.
it's and I actually think that's probably a micro version of how we could use AI to radically speed up reports and really create a different workflow where you don't have to navigate anymore, where you're just taking pictures and making voice notes and you're kind of liberated then, and I have a feeling that's where we're going to be going with a really powerful AI workflow. But I must say, like, maybe I'm the only one. I mean, you guys let me know, but like all that navigation that sucks on site really helps me do a good job. I mean, I just like I'm constantly amazed at how much my template saves my bacon on a daily basis, and it freaks me out to get rid of that. And I don't know, maybe it's just me. Maybe you guys don't feel the same way. But anyway, I mean, for those who are dreaming of a navigation-free inspection experience, I think we will get there relatively quickly, and I think that'll be kind of what it looks like. But so if you want to play with it, play with it. But it's basically you're kind of taking a transcript, dumping it into Claude, and having it write the report on the transcript. And I think the part we're missing that Tim needs to help with is where it could Claude. I haven't had luck with it attaching photos to comments yet, but once it can do that, it may be able to marry the comments when you took the picture, I mean, one thing that could be really useful is marrying the time strip of when you took the picture and when you made a voice note, because that might help kind of it gives it some really clean, simple data to kind of match things, you know. But you know, that's a big lift still, right? It's like marrying comments in your report. I mean, in my limited experience, it's easy to make it do like a section or maybe a chapter, and it gets clunky doing like a whole report. And you realize what an intense thing it is that we do and we take for granted. Like we go out and take 300 pictures of like thousands of defects and all these different variables, and you know, so I don't know, but I'd love for you guys to keep playing with that, because that I have been doing that, and I could visualize it, but it's hard to know whether we can like get all the way there with it or not. And again, AI is changing, right? I mean, it's a speeding train. It's not a moving target or not a sitting target. So
That's great. Yeah, I've been looking at Pocket, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and try it. Yep.
it's pretty cool. Like it's neat. So yeah, I'd love. Please give us your feedback, Chris. I'd love to see what you learn. You know. All right, guys. Well, what a treat to see everybody today. We'll try to get, like I said, once ScribeWare 7 launches, we're gonna have so much stuff to talk about. We could go into scheduling more and table functionality, and I think we're gonna have a bunch more AI meetups. So appreciate everybody showing up, and I hope these tools keep helping you write great reports more quickly. That's our goal for everybody. So we appreciate you, and always good to see everybody.
Thank
So,
you, Dylan.
Thank you, guys. Everybody stay safe.
Man. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, stay safe out there, and enjoy your summer, and we'll catch up here the next meetup.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you, guys.
everyone.